Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. This is a special edition series. It could be one series. It could be going on every once in a while. Who knows? But I've noticed a sort of a trend of having like Q&As and Ask Me Anythings, which I guess I finally figured out what AMA stood for, and it's not American Medical Association and such. But I thought that over the years, there have been a lot of sort of general questions about Harebrained Games, how it came to be, what does it do, some things like that, and I thought maybe I'd put together a Q&A. I compiled the questions from a group people locally and comments on YouTube over the years and Discord and stuff, and I've got a set of questions, some of which are whimsical and some of which are just kind of might be helpful or interesting for people who are viewers of Harebrained Games. The beauty is you can always skip it if it's boring as heck. That's how I handle all my videos. But in any event, we'll give it a shot. Maybe it'll be interesting to you, maybe it won't be interesting to you. But let's just quit the meandering and get on with this. So I'm going to go down this list of questions that have been posed to me, and I'm going to just answer them. And a lot of these maybe that will pique your interest to give me some feedback on what you think a better answer would be. So let's just go with it. So the big question one, what is your most popular video? That's easy. Conquest of Paradise by GMT Games, which is surprising given that it's really not well known, but it's a beautiful and charming game that has racked up way more hits, way more views than any of my other videos, and that was from 5 years ago. The other one is Enemy Coast Ahead, the Dam Busters. Now, when I did that video, I did it on my personal YouTube, and that was before I decided I needed to make a separate channel for these, so I didn't mix it up between stuff. And that one has well over 10,000 views between the two. And so those are the two that are the most popular. Again, I have to wear my specs. I apologize if the glare is horrendous, but I will try. What is the most consistently seen video? Well, that's easy. The most consistently seen video is what is a coin game? This is basically the coin game series from GMT continues to be something that has expanded and grown. There are so many coin games coming out. This is a shout out to GMT. Like, I can tell you that every week it is consistently on the top 3 views that I have. I believe that my explanation is serviceable, but I really encourage GMT, if they really wanted to add some value, do one. Like, get some of your awesome designers and describers, people far better with powers and abilities far above mortal me, to be able to do that. I think you're going to find it's a value add, because years have gone by and it's still one of the top things that people go back and look to is what is a coin game. So if you ever get a chance, GMT, I think it's going to be worth your time to do a polished video that describes that. When did you start Harebrained Games? 2015. I started it for 4 local people that kept asking about games who weren't gamers. And I thought, you know what, why don't I just do a little video channel, just to kind of give them all, just like, you know what, just subscribe here, and if something comes up, I'll let you know. And instead of having to email them or see them at church or whatever, it's like, oh, I'll just do that. And I always wanted the goal of this channel to kind of lay low. As a video game developer since '96. I grew really tired of the acidic communities and sort of just distanced myself from them, and so I didn't want this to become that sort of thing. I just wanted this to be a venue for people who can give and receive respectable opinions and offer some interesting discussion. And I am so glad that it's been just a nice, quiet success. I wouldn't have this channel any other way. I absolutely love it. Yeah, so what video have I done that is my favorite? The Hunt for the Ring, mostly because of the intro. I thought, for all my uncleverness in life, that was probably one that I think was at least marginally clever. There was a game that never actually released called POTUS, the first year of the presidency by Thomas Powell. I really liked doing that video because I really thought that it was an excellent game system. It never saw the light of day. People were fatigued by the topic by the time this was going on, and I still have that prototype, and I would pull that sucker out in a heartbeat. If you think like Twilight Struggle and Versailles 1919, Wicks with a tumultuous president theme, I think this really had legs. I hope someday in the future someone revisits it and we see that again. What video game review do you regret? I heavily regret my Flamme Rouge video. I botched that sucker so bad that I had to take it down and redo it, and I just didn't. I just botched it. I was just like, I already have a hard time describing a game correctly as I'm playing it. This was just over the top terrible. So it's out there, it's there, but I don't think I did it the service that I could have. It's a decent game. How many games do I own? A lot. Do I have insurance for all those games? Yeah, it's part of the homeowner's insurance, but I did check into it, and it would be interesting to know that I asked if I needed a special addition or amendment to my policy, and they're like, no, you don't need that, but it would be really helpful if you cataloged all your games and had them available for that. And I'd like, which is great. That's why Board Game Geek, I just added all my games there. I still have some that I haven't added yet. I need to do that as an inventory. But if you're curious about insurance and that, something to think about, double check, make sure that they don't have some escape clause. All right. Who's your favorite designer? I'd say over the years, my favorite designer is Vlada Chavatil, though I can't pronounce his name. The reason for that is because he's the Forrest Gump of video game designers, or board game designers. You never know what you're going to get. He tries to expand and break away and do just clever different things all over the map. You think of the broad spectrum of games he's done. Some of the silly ones that didn't take hold, like Bunny Bunny Moose Moose, all the way to, Through the Ages and Mage Knight, and you're like, this guy really tries not to get stuck in a rut. And so I think he's my favorite, or at least the one I respect the most for being able to try just totally shift his mindset. He's not someone who you're like, oh, I can tell that's that kind of game, or that's a Stefan Feld game, or stuff. He's just all over the place, and I really love that about him. Who's your least favorite designer? I don't want to say. Let's just keep this positive. What are your top pet peeves? I think I'm going to save that one. I think that one might be worth a video all on its own. I have many. I just try, you've all probably already heard me ranting about several of them, but anyway, I'm going to make that my own reviews. How many times do you play a game before reviewing? It varies. Like, I think that's the only smart answer. Like, oh, I have to play every game 5 times. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes you can ascertain a game's about, in fairly easy strokes, and sometimes you're like, no, I really need to understand this. I really need to understand this before I review it. An example right now is I've got a game called Plains Indian Wars. I set that sucker up and I played through it several times, and I'm like, I still don't really feel ready. Mostly because of the struggles with just fringe rules that aren't really well defined. But when the time comes, I will. On the other hand, like Elf, the board game, you play one of it and you're like, you played it all, and you're like, okay, I get a feeling you still played it a couple times. But anyway, hope that answers that. What theme is underrepresented in board gaming? The Tick. Come on, man. Where are they? There's one board game from the past and it stinks. The Tick is underrepresented everywhere. Spoon. Alright, why do you have long hair? Do you cut it? I have long hair for reasons I have never divulged to anybody, not even my family. I have my reasons, and no, I do not cut it. Ever. Why do you have a beard? Do you cut it? I have no secret for that. I'm lazy. That's why I have a beard. And I do cut it. I think you've seen some videos where it's actually been trimmed up a bit. But I do cut it. The beard has no nostalgia for me. Yeah. What is your favorite video game? Okay. Well, right now it's Witcher 3. I'm going through that for the second time. I think it's a little clunky in the combat, but I think it's probably got the most engrossing storytelling weaving into a world. And yes, I did watch the second season of Witcher, and that made me jump back into it and stuff. Elden Ring is on my list. I hear that it too kind of really exemplifies awesome storytelling and world building. So we'll see on that one. As far as all time, I would say Xbox would be Forza Horizon um, 3. I would say PlayStation would be Horizon Zero Dawn. Nintendo, no contest, Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door. And then for the PC, the game I played the most of is Fallout 4. That's probably about as close as you'll get to how awesome. I mean, maybe a Black Flag would be a runner-up. So, boxers or briefs? I haven't played that one. You'll have to let me know. You seem religious sometimes, are you? Yes, I am a follower of Christ. Yes, I take it very seriously. I'm always up for meaningful discussion on it. I believe that that's the best way to approach it. So, when did you get into gaming? Well, board gaming I got into in 2006. I had a boss, Jason Robar, who introduced me during my job interview for a company, the Resurrected Sierra Studios. And I went home and went, whether I get the job or not, I now have a new passion. And so thank you, Jason. Always thank you. You're the best. Have you ever thought of making your own board game? Yes, I have several designs that have been percolating, one of which is trying to do the pirate board game that I can't seem to find satisfied elsewhere, despite the many, many great pirate board games out there. It's not easy. I mean, one of the things you recognize as a video game developer, I think, is that there's a big difference between being a designer and being an ideator. An ideator is someone who comes up with all the fun parts of an idea and takes it to a certain level to flesh it out. A designer is the one that has to basically deal with the years and years of polishing, tweaking, adding, removing, mostly removing, and just constant iteration. Yeah, that's I have great respect for designers who really have veteran designers. Just, yeah, never hesitate to use one. How come you don't do a Patreon? I back you. Well, that's very nice, and I appreciate that. But here's the answer. I am too inconsistent. I am utterly inconsistent. There are times when I go a month and a half, just because life stuff comes up, and then there's times when I can basically do 3 or 4 a week. If I backed myself as a Patreon backer, I would never tolerate that inconsistency. I'd hate myself. Besides, there's a freedom in being able to do this for fun. I talked to a couple people who are trying to make a side living at it, and they have to worry about things I don't care about. Like, they don't want to put up videos of old games because they might not get enough likes. And even if they get some likes, the fact that they didn't get enough might mess with the metrics. That means that could harm them rather than help them. And I'm like, that's stupid. Like, I want to be able to just post a video. Like, someone posted just the other day, like, hey, how come I haven't seen you do, Wasteland Express delivery service? That's from 2017, and I got it in 2019 or something. I couldn't do that if I had this pressure to try to achieve. It would take the fun out of it. And so I want to be able to just go, hey, this is a hobby, this is for fun. Let's have fun with it. Who do you watch for board games? It varies all the time. Instructionally, I did a top 10 video game, or top 10 board game review channels a while back. You can check that out. That's still current. I haven't really think I'd change that. I would say my favorite right now is Board Game Ramblings. I just really like the laid back style. She just glows with kindness. I mean, she's the kind of person you'd be like, if I was walking around at a place, her and her partner would be people. I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Can I play? And I think that they would be pretty cool about it. So, otherwise it varies. Okay, next one. Do you watch your own videos? Yes, on 2x speed, because I put myself to sleep better than anyone else I know. It makes me so grateful and in awe that you all watch my videos sometimes. I know they're low budget, and I know that they tend to at times ramble a bit, but yeah, props to you, you golden people. Have I met any subscribers in real life? Well, obviously I know the ones that I did the original channel for locally, and I know some of my friends at Game On who I've met, and some of the other conventions. I haven't gone out of my way to. I mean, there's some people in the area that someday, if we ever have a chance to meet up, I'd love to. I do have sort of this pathological fear of man behind the curtain, where people, want to meet up and then I turn out to be an utter disappointment because I'm really not that great of a conversationalist in real life. So that kind of hinders me. So that's that for that. Those are the 23 questions. And then there's some like, oh, crazy questions. Like, here's some stupid questions that might have nothing to do with it. What's your favorite board game? I already answered that one. I think I answered that one. Well, I guess I didn't answer that one. Twilight Struggle. Of the four seasons, what's your favorite one? I would say it's the one in Bellevue. It's got a really cool pool. What is the greatest risk you've ever taken? Dedicating my life to Christ, 1980. That was a risk that paid off in dividends greatly. Lost a lot of friends on that one. What is the one ability that you believe everyone should possess? Yeah, these are getting really crazy. The one ability everyone should possess is capability. What has been your greatest kitchen mistake? Oh, that one's easy. Back when I was 10, wrong story. Pull up a chair and shit a while. Back when I was 10, my parents were out in the yard. It was a nice July day, and I was going to make some dinner for myself, and so I grabbed some hot dogs out of the freezer, and they were frozen together. So what do? I grab a knife, and I start chopping on the ice. I missed, and the knife went through 3 of my fingers. And I went out and said, Dad, I cut myself. And he's like, must be pretty bad. You usually don't whine. Sure enough, I did. I had split them all open. My parents were very cheap, and they're like, we really can't afford stitches, so let's mask it up as best as we can. So masking tape. I still have an edge where you can see it never did heal. So yeah, definitely don't treat a knife like an ice pick when you're opening frozen hot dogs. Subtle tip: microwaves help too, but we couldn't afford one. What's the food you usually refuse to share? I never really refuse to share much, but if I had one that I'd really like to keep to myself, chocolate-covered gummies. Yeah. What's the best name you could think for a cat? Oh, that's easy. Supper. If you could have lunch with one person from history, who would it be? Well, obviously, the devout person from me would say Christ, but I'll have lunch with him someday. The other person I'd have lunch with would be John Candy. I've always kind of liked his vibe. In fact, I would love if this channel was sort of the John Candy of video game channels, because John Candy was the nicest guy in real life, and everybody rooted for him on film, and everybody rooted for him on real life. Who doesn't like John Candy? Wow. Some of these questions are just bizarre. What is the most useless talent you possess? Well, that's a long list. I have many useless talents, and so I'm pretty sure there'd be a buffer overflow if I tried to pick one out at random. If dark chocolate is the only available food on this planet, would you eat it? Yes. I would eat dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. Who doesn't love dark chocolate? Lots of people. Do you believe in second chances? I believe in 70 times 7 chances, actually. I hope that grace afforded others would be afforded to me at their time as well. Do you have a close relationship with your parents? No. All right. Who do you look up to the most? The sun. Oh, human? My hero, Terry Schindler, but that's a story I'm not going to get into. Wow. What makes you jealous? I'm going to say jealousy. Ho ho ho. What's the most beautiful part of your face? My hair, because it covers the rest of it. What makes you cry? Nothing. I don't think my kids have ever, I'm not a crier. I don't think I've really cried ever, really. Probably as a kid, but that's about it. Which do you prefer, summer or winter? I'm a summer person. I love heat. I absolutely adore heat. Heat is neat. Um, what is your, do you believe, which household chore do you hate doing the most? Anything in a bathroom. Yeah, yeah, that would be not even close. What's the first book you read? Lord of the Rings. I was an avid, well, the first book I remember reading is Lord of the Rings. I really started reading at a very early age, and I just never went from there. Oh, what is your favorite day of the week? It honestly varies. I'm not one of these people who's like, thank God it's Friday, because I really love my job and I really love um, just all the things I do in life, and so like there isn't any particular day of the week that I like more than the others yet. I mean, that might change if I ever have to change jobs and get into the Monday. Do you like to exercise regularly? Absolutely. I run generally 5 miles a day, and then 2 days a week I play basketball. I run a basketball group at church 2 days a week. Um, have you ever thought of having plastic surgery? No, I've definitely thought of. I definitely wish there was a portable liposuction machine or nanotechnology where you could just inject it and then sleep and have all of your gut go away. You'd think running 5 miles I would be thin. Not anymore. Apparently, time weighs for all men. Oh, da, 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 da. How would it feel like to cry underwater? Well, that since I don't cry, that would be. I will leave that up to you, the value viewer. Um, Interesting. If you could be. This is interesting. How competitive are you? Not really. Not anymore. Not as much as I used to be, except for basketball. I tend to be competitive. I don't like getting beat by my man or woman when I'm playing basketball. That tends to make me at least hunker down and play some modest defense. Um, if you could make one word famous, what would it be? Spoon. Do you know how to change a flat tire? Yes, everyone should know how to do that, in my opinion, if they can possibly pull it off. Um, what is your least favorite board game? I don't really want to say. I know what it is, but I'm not gonna say. Uh, what's your lucky number? 42. Are you smart enough to solve 100 problems in 100 minutes? Depends on the day. Sometimes I'm feeling it, sometimes I'm not. Do you get bored easily? No, I have a mantra that I have. It's called never bored. So when everyone asks me if I'm bored, I'm like, no, I'm never bored. That means I have a backpack wherever I go with reading material always ready or some activity. I'm never bored. I mean, if you live your life going, I'm never bored, then all those dead times you can feel like waiting in line for stuff and stuff, you can find a way to not be bored. That's my goal. Um, do you ever think that clowns were creepy? No. Clowns are people too. How many pairs of shoes do you have? Two. Do you ever think you had superpowers as a child? I definitely didn't. Does Christmas mean something special to you? Christmas is my absolute favorite holiday ever, always. It's the one time of the year when everybody could stand down and just be nice for a day. I mean, it's not just a celebration of the birth of Christ. It was like a time that the normal turmoil of life would fade for a day, and occasionally I got even interesting presents. Um, yep. So I think we'll wrap it up. I think this is going on. Do I look attractive to myself? There's a reason I grow hair, at least facial hair. I'm not telling you the other ones. So, have you ever walked out of the cinema without finishing the movie? Yes. Yes, my favorite one. We had a dollar theater and I had the day off, and you go in and you can just keep paying $1 and watching movies and bouncing from the theaters. My friend and I went to watch what we thought was an action flick, probably a Jean-Claude Van Damme. It ended up playing Beaches. Which honestly, like I would have taken a nap at the time, but there was one other guy in the theater who was literally having way too good of a time watching Bette Midler and just adoring her way too uncomfortably for us. So yeah, we bailed. Sorry, my friends. So that's it. Maybe this was interesting to you, maybe not. I'd love to hear some of your guys' answers for interesting things too. A lot of these are just crazy, nutty ones, but yeah, let's have some fun with it. If nobody likes it, I'll never do it again. If they do, I probably still wouldn't do it again for a while, because eventually, what do you do? So anyway, thanks for putting up with me, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.